Fans always claim they love the good old days. Wait, not that old. But judging by what we've seen lately, that really isn't the case, but I digress. However, for those who do, we look back at the very first Busch Clash, worth a $150,000 purse at the Daytona International Speedway in Daytona Beach, Florida, on Sunday, February 11th, 1979, dispelling some myths and some misspellings. Like I've seen some folks refer to the race creator as Marty. Busch Beer's Monty Roberts came up with the idea for a special event consisting of pole winners from the previous year, 1978. He thought that a race having the quickest drivers would be a marketable notion and took that and his sponsorship dollars to NASCAR, and they scheduled a 50-mile, 20-lap shootout to start off the stock car portion of Speed Weeks and would pay $50,000 to win. Roughly a 15-minute race to get fans interested in qualifying. Perfect. But hopefully don't tear up equipment. And it fits nicely into any television window, what with only 3 major networks at the time. Roberts' resume included working at Ontario Motor Speedway in California and helping introduce Mercury successfully into racing, and thought fans were very loyal to brands and was convinced this would help. Also, folks didn't see the popular Cup cars until midweek Wednesday before the 500, so this was a way to get people to the area earlier. 9 drivers total qualified, so to speak, and they drew Busch beer cans for their starting spots in a unique Dive in the Ice Bowl contest, and 1975 Daytona victor Benny Parsons pulled number 1 with Darrell Waltrip alongside. By the way, check out those cool shades on old DW. Buddy Baker, ever the jokester, who got the 3rd position, tried messing with his part of the number to make it look like a number 1. He would be shooting for his first ever win at Daytona, coming ever so close on so many previous occasions. 9 drivers total qualified, so to speak, and they drew Busch beer cans for their starting spots in a unique Dive in the Ice Bowl contest, and 1975 Daytona victor Benny Parsons pulled number 1 with Darrell Waltrip alongside. By the way, check out those cool shades on old DW. Buddy Baker, ever the jokester, who got the 3rd position, tried messing with his part of the number to make it look like a number 1. He would be shooting for his first ever win at Daytona, coming ever so close on so many previous occasions. Baker, in the now famous Grey Ghost, won the pole earlier in the day at 196.049 miles per hour, but was then forced by officials to put pink highlights on his race car, since competitors were saying he was so fast that his primary colors, black and silver, blended in with the racetrack, and they had a hard time seeing him since he would come up on them so quickly. Those in attendance were thinking that the start of the race would face unknowns. The track surface was replaced for the first time in decades. How about tearing up equipment? As defending champ Cale Yarborough, with brand new sponsor Busch, did, while not showing well for them at first as he blew the motor with flames shooting out the bottom of the car in practice. David Pearson in the Wood Brothers Mercury lost a power plant as well during the same time frame. But both were changed, and both were in their starting spots at the green. But the former still joked, with this race they have created a monster. I can see it now, all 9 cars coming to the finish line side by side. With that kind of money, just about anything is possible. Some in the garage were concerned as pit stops, though you could make them, were not planned, so if, say, someone got into trouble, a 20-lap event left little to no time to catch back up. This would be the first ever broadcast for TV partner CBS, with Ken Squire and David Hobbs in the booth, while Brock Yates was pit reporter, and in his opening monologue, called the race off the wall. And it wasn't even shown live, but tape delayed the day before the Great American Race. And even Squire blurted out more than once during the broadcast about the quote-unquote 500 tomorrow. And here's an off-the-wall stat, and that there were no Busch commercials, just Budweiser. And, staying on the off-the-wall subject, here's a bit of trivia. Waltrip, who had won the first race of the 1979 Cup campaign at Riverside, California, 1 month before, took the last road course race event to run caution-free. And on the subject of that still, they wouldn't count caution laps here. When NASCAR starter Chip Warren threw the green, 7 Oldsmobile Cutlass 442s, 1 Ford Thunderbird, and 1 Mercury Montego flashed underneath it, and Jaws picked up right where he left off from Riverside and led lap 1. But at that time, as Ricky Bobby would say, the slingshot was engaged, and these big cars slicing through the air like a Mack truck saw Baker powering by the 88 Olds to lead lap 2. And you want to talk tandem drafting? Didn't take long before 2x2 racing was seen around the oval. As the race progressed, it looked like it was going to be a Baker runaway, but Waltrip did get by on lap 15, so that made 2 laps led for Darrell for the entire show. On lap 7, the Gray Ghost ran 197.802, and then on the very next lap ran the same exact average speed, 197.802. Waltrip could do little but stay glued to the 28's bumper all the way to the checkers. 8 of the 9 finished all 20 laps, and LZ Wiley Jr. ran the fastest race in history at that time with an average speed of 194.384 miles per hour. Cale finished third and won $14,000. Benny placed fourth for $13K. Bobby Allison $12,000. Pearson sixth at $11,500. Lenny Pond, who drove the car that Baker had just dominated in the year before, $11,000. Neil Bonnet at $10,500. And J.D. McDuffie, who got famous the year before by winning his first and only Cup pole at Dover, at $10,000 after suffering engine failure, 3 laps shy of completing the event. Oh, and Cale almost called it. He was part of a 3-wide photo finish for third. In Victory Lane, the first ever Clash winner pinpointed the obvious. What with, at that time, was his second ever 500 pole win, and now this. It's been a long day, but a good one for me. Epilogue. Will there ever be a time when they return to the 2.5-mile oval and just make it about pole winners and not an exhibition? Some point to that first race and claim 9 isn't enough, though only 7 cars competed in 1981. Does it have to be full of gimmicks? No one seemed to care for the first dozen or so years. Isn't 20 laps, no planned pit stops, no 10-lap breaks, inversions, singing contest, whatever? Isn't a short flag-to-flag joust just right? Also, with TV trying to shorten everything under the sun, wouldn't this be the perfect fit? As Baker took just short of 16 minutes to teach his on-track lesson? And after all, that wasn't the only activity at the track that afternoon, in case some folks thought that just that one event might not be enough to get butts in the bleachers. On this day and subsequent years, they'd begun the ARCA race earlier in the morning, threw the caution somewhere near halftime, put the Clash cars on the track, then resumed the ARCA show. Buddy shared later that Kyle Petty, who'd go on to win that ARCA event that same day, asked him, "How long will it be before we need a fluffy chair to watch this race?" The Coliseum was a neat experiment, but that sure is a long way to go for a market that seems not to care. And Bowman Gray will be fun the first year. But will the weather cooperate? There's a lot of questions we can think of to debate this topic. But for us old school fans, we can only dream that maybe the Clash will return to its hallowed beginnings. Or has that ship sailed? Write your thoughts in the comments below. We'll see you all in Daytona, and thanks for watching.